Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. To open our meeting today, our invocation by Luann Buehlinger, Song and Pledge by Jerry Murator, on the piano, Tom Wolf. Thanks again, Tom. And visitor introductions by John Howland.
Good afternoon, and now for a moment of prayer or meditation. Dear God, thank you for the fellowship we share in Rotary. We are appreciative of the wonderful friendships made in this club and the opportunity to serve those in need. We ask for wisdom, patience, and courage to meet the challenges in our community and beyond. Please grant us the vision to build bridges of understanding and friendship through all of our Rotary activities. Amen.
What a great day to be alive, huh? Whew, scared me there for a minute, huh? Somebody say no? Join me in America the Beautiful, followed by the pledge, okay? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome our several visitors and visiting Rotarians to the club. You're attending Club 2500 in District 6110 of 32,000 clubs internationally. We are among the top 15 or so clubs in size. I will introduce each of the visitors. If you would stand with your Rotarian host, we'll applaud you at the end. First, we have Marcia Hawkins with Stan Hawkins. Where are you? Back there. Very good. Philip Viles with Bob McKenzie. Jason McIntosh with Bob Reed. Jeff Wilkie with Steve Perkins, way in the back. Harris Newens with Chad Newens. Julia Luna with Linda Bradshaw. Vicki Burnett with Casey King. Dana Thetford with Beth Donica. And Luke Bomer with John Johnson. Finally, Patricia Brown with C. Arnold Brown. Thank you very much. Let's welcome our guests. And we've got 3 visiting Rotarians. First, we have George Carr from Rolla, Missouri. Hi, George. Tom Clark from the Sunrise Club here in Tulsa. Hi. Tom. And Wayne Schwanee from Bigsby. Thank you for attending our club, and we hope you'll come back again. Thanks.
Thank you, John and Philip Viles. Welcome back to Tulsa. Glad to have you. Our Rotary sponsors this week are Scott Burnett, Burnett Windows and Siding, and then the 3 Bank First bankers, Monty Curry, Gordon Greer, and Bill Miller. We encourage you to do business with our fellow Rotarians. Please join me in thanking today's sponsors and our volunteers. On a sad note, we announced the passing of Rotary District 6110 Governor nominee Mark Dobbs, who was killed in a car accident this past Sunday. Our district governor, John Williams, said this about Mark: "His life was a great example of the impact one Rotarian can have on those around him. His leadership within our district will be greatly missed. Please keep his family in your prayers." We have the Save the Date cards. Our club is going to be recognized September 24th by the Tulsa Global Alliance for the Global Vision Awards. So cards are out there on the table. Please grab one, save the date. Next week is Steak Day and my last day as president of the club, El Presidente. And the only reason you're going to come and bring guests is because of Scott Petty's Steaks. So sign up, $15, best bargain, best steak in town, bring your guests. Who's watched the IBA Awards rebroadcast on Cox Cable? A few hands, good. Well, if you read the Monday Minute, and I know you all are reading it, there are details on how to watch that and where you need to go, but you need to watch that. We have four committee meetings today. Our membership development, new member orientation, room 234. Song and pledge, right here at the piano. Youth exchange, 233. And looks like new member orientation, 231, so 4. And then the fifth one, if anybody wants to grill steaks with Scott Petty, meet right here at this table after the meeting to get your instructions. We have a memorial resolution. Jim Taylor, please come forward.
Thank you. Have a memorial resolution in recognition of Gordon McCune. And today we have at our table, we have his wife Ann, his daughter Kelly, and some friends as well, Carol Solo and Maggie Ruler. Did I say that right, Maggie? No, but I got the first name right. Gordon McCune was a member of the Rotary Club of Tulsa from May the 15th, 2002 until his death on April the 4th, 2013. Although his tenure with the club was not long, he was a Club Foundation Fellow. Gordon was a longtime Tulsa engineer and real estate developer. He was 87 years old. Gordon was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, August the 20th, 1925, to Malcolm Lloyd and Elizabeth Goodjohn McCune. He was best known for his partnership with his brother, Murray, in the architectural and engineering firm of McCune and Associates, which designed and built numerous commercial and residential buildings in Tulsa and throughout Oklahoma, including Kendall Hall at Tulsa University, the OU College of Dentistry, and Utica Square. Might I also add that they also designed the Salvation Army Sand Springs Core and Community Center. Gordon lived in Tulsa all his life, attending Barnard Elementary School, Wilson Middle School, and Central High School. He then attended the University of Kansas, interrupting his studies to serve with the U.S. Navy at Guantanamo Bay. He rose to be a lieutenant commander in the Navy Reserves. Gordon graduated from KU in 1948 and returned to Tulsa to work with his father and his brother. Gordon was a lifelong member of First Presbyterian Church, where he served as an elder, sang with the men's choir, and was on the board of trustees. Gordon also served on the advisory board of the Salvation Army for many years and was its president from 1987 through 1989. Since his retirement, he had remained active on the Salvation Army board, volunteered with Helping Hand, mentored at Wilson Middle School, and had been active in the Rotary Club of Tulsa. In his spare time, he painted with watercolors, played golf, sailed on Grand Lake, and he and Ann traveled the world. They spent many happy summers in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He married Ann Keaton in 1957, and they had 3 children, Margie, Davis, and Kelly. Therefore, be it resolved that the Rotary Club of Tulsa extends our deepest sympathy to Gordon's wife, family, and his many friends. I, James Taylor, move for adoption of this resolution and ask that the members of this Rotary Club vote this resolution's approval by standing and sharing a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We have one new member today, Steve Turnbow. Are you ready to introduce your new member?
I am.
Okay. And Terry, is Terry here? Please come forward.
You want to?
You can do it right here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well, not Terry. Well, it's my pleasure and honor today to introduce you to Terry Correll. She's been attending here over the months and is now going to become an official member of our Rotary Club. And she is the president and CEO of the Tulsa Zoo Management Incorporated. She runs the Tulsa Zoo and has had a real passion, has a passion for zoos and studied that and has been a professional zoo person her entire life. She previously served as the chief operating officer for the Living Desert in Palm Desert, California. And prior to that was with the zoo in Sedgwick County, which is Wichita. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in wildlife ecology from Oklahoma State University. And she serves on all the National Zoo Association organizations and boards. And we're very honored to have Terry running our zoo here in Tulsa. For hobbies, she enjoys horseback riding as well as hiking and rollerblading with her husband, Dennis Hebert. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you our new member, Terry Correll. Terry, here is your pen, and after the meeting, I'll be giving you the four-way test. We got to do a photo op here, you know. I'll be giving you the four-way test, and we're honored to have you as a member. Thank you.
Terry, welcome to our club. Thank you, Steve, and then also thanks to John Story for conducting her new member orientation. Let's see, next we have Luann Bullinger and Laurel Owen. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Luann, and I've been the membership recruiting chair this year. And right now we're going to recognize all of the Rotarians who brought new members to Rotary this year. So if I've been in contact with you and you're being recognized today, if you'll please come stand over here. While they're coming up, I'll let you know a little bit about our membership drive this year. We're currently at 442 members. We added 34 members this year. And the spring campaign, the Bring Just One campaign, was fantastic. And actually, President Tom coined it. Thank you. And Laurel has been a wonderful membership coordinator, handling all the inquiries and processing all the membership applications. So today, we're going to be presenting each one of the people who have brought new members with a gold Rotary pin that says Peace Through Service and shake Tom's hand. So some of our people couldn't be here today. I'm going to read their name for recognition anyway. And as you hear your name, come on up stage and get your recognition, and we'll hold applause until everyone's been recognized. The first person who's not here today is Alan Edwards Jr., and then Bob Lenocker, Cal Vogt. Hey, Cal, come on up. Dell Dreyer, he's also not here today. Elaine Moore Jones, and I want to congratulate Elaine because she brought 2 new members this year. Glenn Wright. And he's a-coming. Greg Frizzell. Jerry Barrientos. Jerry Dillon. Jim Burwell. John Rupie. Karen Keith, who's traveling to Portugal today. She brought 5 new members this year. Kathy Gurrell. Matt Davis. Come on up, Matt. Matthew Bristow. Muzon Biggs. Paula Wood. Phil Lakin. Rod Sands. Ron Butler, who's off getting his medical care taken care of today. Stan McCabe. Steve Turnbow. Tim Colwell. Tony Oliva. Trey Walling. Tricia Kirkstra. LaVan Kelly. Thanks to all of you for bringing new members this year, and I know a lot of us are still bringing guests. I have not personally brought a new member this year, but I have 4 on the line for the next year, so it's coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luann, and thank you, Laurel. Let's see here. Oh, next is my wonderful program co-chair, Regina Moon. Welcome back, Regina. Please give us an update on what you've been doing.
Thank you, President Tom. On this 1-month anniversary of the Moore tornado, I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you and thank everyone who has donated to either the American Red Cross, the United Way of Central Oklahoma, the Salvation Army, and the many other wonderful agencies that are on the ground delivering services to the people who were devastated by the tornadoes in Moore, Shawnee, El Reno, Kearney, etc. What President Tom's alluding to is I've been absent the last 4 meetings. I'm just going to fess up to whoever's keeping track of that. I have been back and forth over to Oklahoma City, and I was first deployed after the Shawnee tornado to go over and assist my CEO counterpart at the Oklahoma City Red Cross, really in her operation so that she could focus out in the field. My firsthand witness experience to the devastation over in Moore occurred 2 days after that tornado. And my assignment was to lead and organize the on-the-ground survey of Red Cross operations in Moore for the Thunder's Kevin Durant, or KD as his friends call him, which I now am, I'm just saying. Seriously, as I learned during the few hours that I was able to spend in KD's company, he has an enormous heart. He is possibly one of the kindest, gentlest souls that I have ever encountered. And he clearly has a heart for the Oklahoma City community and also for people who find themselves in very difficult circumstances. You know, all of that is what led to his $1 million gift to the American Red Cross for those relief efforts. And then he also made a request that he be able to personally thank the Red Cross volunteers who were on the ground doing the work. I mean, how can you not love a guy like that and an ambassador for our state? Anyone who has seen the aftermath of a level 5 storm, say if, for instance, you had reason to go to Joplin, you'll probably understand what I mean when I say it is a surreal experience to survey that. And by that I mean when you stand in the middle of all that devastation, which reaches above your head easily at all times, and it's all you can see on the horizon, It feels surreal because ordinary things aren't where you are accustomed to seeing them. They're out of position. Cars up against telephone poles, toilets in the street, clothes hanging from the trees. And after having been through a few of these disasters now with the Red Cross, I've figured out that that's why so often, in just addition to the exhaustion, that these victims often appear to be almost zombie-like and dazed. Their world has been completely turned upside down in ways that just make it hard for them to really navigate through. When we showed Kevin the Red Cross housing, feeding stations, cleanup kit distribution, and the first aid stations located throughout the area, he wanted to be able to see what his gift would buy, and we were happy to accommodate that. I've never really understood celebrity, how celebrity can be so wasted by some people. Kevin Durant did not waste his celebrity that day and more. It was amazing to see people in shelters. When we would walk in, you'd see them across the room, and they would be sitting there really just numb. But when they realized that Kevin Durant was in the room, oh my gosh, the response and the reaction was just amazing. And he could not have been a more healing kind of salve to them. Obviously, it didn't change their lives in that moment, but for a moment, they had this relief from what obviously was just a terrible, terrible situation that they were contemplating. That's when I became a real believer in Kevin Durant, when I saw what he was able to do. As you know, the Red Cross is a disaster response and immediate needs agency, and so I'd like to share with you some of what that service delivery has been over the past 30 days. We have already spent $6 million, or committed up to that amount, for emergency response and initial assistance to people who have had cases opened for them. Red Cross has provided 6,300 overnight stays in disaster shelters. The last number I saw 2 days ago said that there were still 89 people living in shelters. This breaks my heart. In a small disaster, you will typically have zero shelter population after about a week or 10 days because people have been able to develop with Red Cross help a short-term plan to get them in with family or friends so that then they can build a longer-term plan. What this tells us 1 month after that disaster is that there are 89 people who have absolutely no resources, no support network to help them get to a next stop. So as long as there are people who are essentially homeless, the Red Cross will keep their shelters open, but that's a heartbreaking number at this point. We've served over 460,000 meals and snacks. These are to people in the shelters, to workers in the field, to volunteers of all sorts and all agencies. We've distributed 400,000 cleanup and relief supplies and tools. Trash bags, gloves, masks to keep out the dust, rakes, shovels, batteries, you name it. We've also distributed or opened 20,000 health services and mental health contacts for people's immediate health needs, but more importantly, in something that's devastating, for their mental health. Financial donations to the Red Cross have been extraordinarily generous. It's a number that changes daily. I'm glad to say Oklahomans in particular are especially philanthropic. As I mentioned, $6 million has already been spent/committed. Based on the cases that we alone have opened up, we estimate that easily another $3 to $5 million will be given in the coming days, weeks, and months. After that, it will be needed for things like security deposit and rent, storage containers, that type of thing. All those things that people need to move into longer-term recovery. Other long-term recovery initiatives include things like individual and community resilience. These might be things, once immediate needs have been met, obviously we have more money than will be used in the first few days for sheltering and that sort of thing. We move into other things like these long-term initiatives, incentive support for putting safe rooms into rebuilt homes, community buildings and schools. We may initiate programs that target schools with drills and readiness for disasters of all sorts. And the communities themselves may come up with initiatives that they decide are important to prepare them for the future. One other thing, do I have time, President Tom? Am I good on time?
You're good.
Are you sure? Okay. I don't want to get the hook from you. In every disaster, there's a thing called the MARC, the Multi-Agency Resource Center. What this is this becomes the hub on the scene for all the helping agencies. Right now, there are 39 agencies in the Moore MARC. The Red Cross always serves as the pivot point for that. And this is really, if you can imagine, a mall of one-stop shopping where victims of these tornadoes can come and cycle through all of these helping agencies to glean the particular help that they need on any given day. It is an emotionally charged atmosphere, as you can imagine, with people who are hurting and in desperate need. I think of volunteers from all of the helping agencies, Salvation Army, all of them do a wonderful job. I'm told it was especially poignant, and I think this points out the value of people who volunteer in these situations. It was especially poignant when the parents who lost their children to the flood waters after they sought shelter in the drainage ditch. It was especially poignant when those parents came through to seek assistance. And I think that terrible situation really underscores the need for this longer-term resiliency that we talk about in terms of preparing people to know what to do properly. So the work continues by so many great agencies, and it will go on for weeks, months, and literally years. Joplin is a prime example of how 2 years down the road, they are still spending down funds on long-term recovery efforts. Financial support and support with resources will continue to be needed. Programs like the Medical Supplies Network certainly have a place in that recovery. And I want to say that I'm proud, and I know you are too, to be part of an initiative that supports MSN. So thank all of you for supporting that as well, and supporting all of us who are involved on those on-the-ground efforts to help all of these people in need. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Regina. Our Sergeant-at-Arms, David Downing. I don't know if we missed you the last 2 weeks or not.
Well, I sure hope you did. I missed being here. I had R&R last week and hazardous duty the week before, and so I'm glad to be back. I've got a lot of fines to announce today, so I'm just going to kind of fly through these if you don't mind. You've over the last few weeks, you've gotten emails from me. A bunch of you have, and so here's the rundown. Let's hold our applause till I announce everybody. Joseph Bias gave us $34 for his 17 years in Rotary and $17 just because. Thanks, Joseph. Nate Gustafson gave us 39, as he calls them, mysterious dollars. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure where he got them, but they'll spend in our foundation easily enough. Bob Jack gave us $39 also for his wedding anniversary, and if you've not noticed Bob, are you here, by the way? Bob Jack, are you here? He's looking pretty dang good. He's probably in for another 39 years of marriage after he's lost those 60 pounds or so. Doug Walker gave us $50 this week, Tom, for 8 years in Rotary, 32 years of marriage, and $10 for good luck. I don't know what that means, but $10 for good luck. David Ruttman gave us $80 for his age, plus his years in Rotary. David, thank you. Ken Campbell gave us $100 for his 82nd birthday, and he wants that to go to Crescendo for next year. I guess your other 17 is going to go too, right? Thanks a lot, Joseph. Bob Lundgren gave us $100 just for the good of it, and we appreciate that, Bob. Thank you. Burl Watson, $100 just cause. Greg Gallant, $100 just cause. James Love, $100 just cause. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Bill Miller gave us $100 this week because, and these are his words, not mine, he says, I'm doing a good job. Yeah, I suck up to that one, didn't I? I know, but he really gave the $100 for is he feels guilty because I was a pledge in Delta Kappa Fraternity and he was a member, and he made me hit so many push-ups. You should probably give $1 for every push-up I hit. That'd be add a couple of zeros to that $100. And Bill Ray gave us $200 for his 43 years of marriage, plus quite a premium, and we appreciate that, Bill. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your generosity. Thank you. Okay, we got some earned media fines. Because I believe everything that Steve Turnbow tells me, Steve Turnbow says that, remember, earned media is worth 7 times what you pay for it if you were to buy that space with real dollars. So I've got Bill Rothrock Jr. Are you here this week? Well, I'm fining you anyway because in your couple of weeks ago when you did that social media thing, you asked me to fine you twice. So I'm going to fine you twice, and we'll call it $100. Now, speaking of earned media, what about Steve Turnbow? You know, Steve, because I believe everything you tell me, and because, earned media is worth 7 times what you'd pay for it, for the last 11 months here at this microphone, I have 37 times I have attributed earned media to Mr. Turnbow. 37, I counted, 37 times I have given you attribution of your expertise and prowess. Now, what would you have spent if you were to have bought that attribution here at Rotary? You'd have spent $1,600, because that's what an annual sponsorship of our club costs. Times $7, Steve, that works out to be $11,200 that I have given you, sir, over the last 11 months. So, and you know what? Nobody's paid an earned media fine yet. Why don't you start that? Kick it off and pay for that. Anyway, 37 times, just somebody pay for it. That'd be great. Rhonda Renz, are you here? She's traveling. Well, darn. Okay, so, she here? Okay, Rhonda, I got a little thing. Rhonda was a very successful sergeant at arms at this club, as you know, and I've had a whole lot of fun doing this the last 12 months as well, but I'm like this close to raising more money than she did. And being the competitive guy that I am, I think I would like to do that. Well, next week is our last week for you to respond. If you, for some reason, haven't responded to one of my emails over the last 12 months, next week is your makeup day. And I want to beat Rhonda. So let's have everybody this week just send me an email, tell me how much you want to give to the Club Foundation, and I'll take care of it for you. President Tom, all in today, $1,042 to your Club Foundation, sir.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Sarge. Thank you. Our Rotarian of the Day is Steve Turnbow. He is Chairman Emeritus of Snocky Turnbow Frank PR, and his name is synonymous with public relations and now earned media. He received his bachelor's degree from the University of Tulsa, and he's a huge TU supporter. He's been a member of our club since July 2009. He is a Club Foundation Fellow and a Paul Harris Fellow. Please welcome Rotarian of the Day, Steve Turnbow.
Well, I'm not alone among the Hurricane faithful that are very honored and proud to have Dr. Derrick Gragg as our new Vice President and Director of Athletics at the University of Tulsa. He was named our athletic director in March and began his tenure on May 1st. And before coming to Tulsa, he spent 7 years as the athletic director at Eastern Michigan University, where he was responsible for an intercollegiate athletic program with 21 teams, 550 student athletes, and 80 staff members. He spent 20 years in athletic administration at Arkansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. Prior to his professional career, he was a wide receiver and lettered 4 years at Vanderbilt while earning his bachelor's degree in human development in '92. He then earned his master's degree in sports administration from Wayne State University, and then later earned his doctorate of education from the University of Arkansas. He is a native of Huntsville, Alabama. He and his wife, Sonia, have a daughter, Daisha, 2 sons, Avery and Philip Raymond, and I hope your family has finally joined you here in Tulsa, or close to joining you in Tulsa. It's my honor to introduce to you Dr. Derrick Gragg.
I really appreciate the opportunity to come here before you today, and my family has joined me. As a matter of fact, I flew back to Michigan to get them this past weekend, and we took a 2-3 day trip through St. Louis where my brother is, and my mom joined us for Father's Day, so that was great. And all of my new Rotarian friends, if you want to join me, right now I have a moving truck in front of my house. So when I leave here, I'm going to get back to being dad and father, but it's been great. People want to know, what do you do as an athletic director in your first few days? And luckily for me, I've been an athletic director before, but they use the term drinking out of a fire hose. And that is basically what you do. This is probably, and I've had my secretary, my assistant, counting the meetings. This is, I think, my 216th meeting that I've attended, spoken at, where there's been one-on-one coaches, people in the community since I've been here in the past 5.5 weeks. And that's basically what we do. And that's a true story. I met with the media last week, and I think I was on about 187. Literally, when I flew into town 5.5 weeks ago, and Steve can attest to this, I went straight from the airport. I forgot what time it was because all the days run into each other. I went straight to the hotel, threw my stuff down, changed clothes, and I went straight to an event that he co-chaired. And since then, it's been that way constantly, but I love it. And people always ask me about the tough job. Of course it is when you're managing 400 young people between the ages of 17 and 23, as some of us have children that age. I have a 19-year-old, so you know what that's like. But really, honestly, I'm living a dream. And it's good to be here. People ask me, why TU? It feels a lot like home. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, as Steve said. My mother is a 30-year educator, just retired from the Huntsville City public school systems, and she really believed in education. And TU feels a lot like Vanderbilt University, honestly. And so that's the reason I'm here, to help President Upham, who is a great leader of the institution and a great community person, lead this athletic department to the future. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I really want to talk about our student athletes and our coaches, because in college athletics, it's a lot different than what we watched on television last night. We don't have LeBron James. We don't have Dwayne Wade. Some of the schools you do, but basically, great college athletic programs are built around coaches first and foremost, and then around our student athletes. So I want, with that, I want to start and get into a little bit of the PowerPoint presentation that I brought, and then maybe if there's time at the end, I can answer a few questions. Let's go to the next one. Really want to talk about the student athlete achievement, and you probably recognize some of these people, and I pointed out some of the coaches here. Bill Blankenship, great man. Vince Westbrook, Danny Manning, and then some of our student athletes, some who are returning and some who are graduating and going on to great things. Let's go to the next, please. Right now we're in Conference USA. A lot of you know that. Been a member since 2005, and this institution has been very dominant within the current conference. 49 conference championships, and that's more than double any other institution within the conference. And as a lot of you know, we're going into another conference, which is the old Big East. It's the American Athletic Conference, and we'll go to the next slide. Let's talk a little bit before we get into that about some of the honors this past year. 5 conference championships, which is outstanding. Over 60 student athletes who made the first, second, or third team in the Conference Conference USA. And what I really like is the next to the last at the bottom, the 61 CUSA academic medalists. That's 61 of the 400 student athletes that have participated with these great championships who had over a 3.75 GPA the past semester. So that is just outstanding. Yes. Next slide, please. Now, with the American Athletic Conference, and a lot of people are asking, well, who's in it? And some of the members are schools that we've competed against in the past. And you look at some of the names, Cincinnati, obviously, UConn in men's and women's basketball, but UConn also went to a BCS bowl game within the past few years, as did Cincinnati. Every team there in football, with the exception of probably Tulane and Memphis, has been to a bowl game within the last 2 or 3 years. As you remember, Houston, which is a great rival of the institution, almost went undefeated a couple of years ago, and then their coach went on to Texas A&M, and he's doing good things there, Kevin Sumlin. So a very competitive conference. We'll go into the conference, I think, is one of the top football programs, which is great. Basketball will be a bit more challenging when you're talking about Temple, Cincinnati, UConn, Memphis, as we've played in the past years, but an outstanding group of schools, institutions, and athletic programs. And then in 2015, Navy will come on board, and they have gone to probably 8 or 9 straight bowl games as well. So a great collective conference, and going through the interview process, I was aware that this institution had already been voted into the new Big East Conference, and that's another thing that's exciting for me. Let's go to the next one, please. And just a little bit about the conference. This is going to be the most prolific athletic conference that TU's been involved in, which is great. You talk about exposure in big-time television markets. Philadelphia, where Temple is the number 4 television market in the country. Dallas is, I think, is number 5 or 6. Houston's in the top 10. Tampa and Orlando are both in the top 20. And then with New Orleans, an exciting place to play. So we'll be getting a lot of exposure. If you haven't heard, it was just announced that ESPNU is going to pick up our first away football game August 29th against Bowling Green, so please check that out. So television is like a blessing and a curse, and we'll talk about attendance and some of the challenges that we have, but 80% of the American Athletic Conference football games this season, and we're not part of it yet, will be televised. So that's great. So, and particularly when we get into that conference and we start traveling, we'll have a lot of high exposure. Let's go to the next one. Now I want to talk about a little bit of the academic performance. I mentioned the 61 Conference USA medalists, but the fall semester athletic department CUNY GPA was 3.13, which is outstanding. That's 400 student athletes, both scholarship and non-scholarship. The overall athletic department CUNY is 3.14, and then as women are always smarter than the men, CUNY GPA for the women is 3.25, for the men is 2.97, but that is just outstanding work because I'll tell you, and having been a former student athlete, and it's a lot tougher these days, you don't have a lot of time off. You have, per se, the 20-hour rule. You have the 1 day off a week. But when I get to work every day, there are already football players coming out of that stadium hot, sweating, because they're putting in the work from the start of the day to the end. And so for them to be able to perform like this academically, it's just outstanding. Next, please. 59 student athletes in the fall semester had a 4.0 GPA. That's incredible to me. 12 teams with a 3.0 GPA or above, and then 10 teams increased their CUNY GPA from fall 2011 to fall 2012. So that's outstanding, and my hat is off to the coaches and the student athletes for that as well. Next, please. 198 commissioners honor roll student athletes. That's almost half of the student athletes had a 3.0 or better. Outstanding. And then again, 61 academic medalists, 3.75 or better. That, too, is the best in the conference. So these are the types of student athletes that you're supporting. And I know we have a lot of different people who support a lot of different efforts, causes, and other universities in this town. But these student athletes are people that you can really, really be proud of. You can get behind it. And again, that's another one of the reasons that I came here. I've been a lot of places, been involved in college athletics all my life. I've been on a college campus almost every day for the past 25 years, which is more than half my life. And this place has integrity, and they do things the right way, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Talk a little bit about the Golden Cane Awards. If you haven't heard about that, that is an annual gala put on by the student athletes, and I was able to speak at this, I think my second or third day on the job. 800 people at this event, standing room only in the Reynolds Center. I really encourage you to come to this next year. They do a great job with this, give out a lot of awards. This is the top award, the Ultimate Team Member Award, as voted on by the student athletes. You probably some of those student athletes are very recognizable, and then some of them may not be. But these are the cream of the crop student athletes as far as community service, grade point averages, and what they do for their teams individually. Let's go to the next one, please. And that's just the shot of them that evening. One of the student athletes is Native Country, you can see there in the dress. But this is a real fancy production. We have student athletes who can sing, playing the piano, really entertaining everyone who was there, and I know some of you were there. It's very, very impressive. I've been involved with a lot of presentations. As I said, I've already been to 200 meetings since I've been here, and I've seen a lot of things, but I haven't seen a lot of things that are this impressive. So please support these young men and women. And then this one is the Dan Bitson Courage Award, and I know some of you may be familiar with Dan Bitson, who was injured some years ago, who fought back to continue his college playing career. And the most recognizable student athlete is probably the one in the middle, Cody Maduka. There was a large story run in the Tulsa World on him a few weeks ago. Had a heart attack, basically, at a pickup game on the day that Danny Manning was announced coach here. And again, having great staff, student athletes who were very well aware of what to do. A good thing they were in the practice gym. They were able to save this young man's life. And unfortunately for him, basketball didn't continue, which is one of the things that we talk about all the time. The ball is going to go flat for all of us. And yes, I played football. I was a great student athlete back in the day, but that was 25 years ago. I can't run and jump the way that I used to. And these student athletes, even though they don't feel like that, one day they won't be able to either. And for him, everything stopped suddenly. He wasn't prepared for this, but he was prepared as far as education goes. He just graduated a few weeks ago, and at the end of this month, he's going to start working as an engineer. So that's the type of student athlete that we have at TU. And to me, that's easy to support. The next one, please. And I like to have just quick quotes whenever I speak. In this one, John Wooden, who is probably arguably the greatest basketball coach on the face of the earth, most people know what they need to do to get what they want. They just won't do it. They won't pay the price. And when I look at the student athletes, particularly the ones that I'm interfacing with right now, I'm proud of them because they are paying the price. And a lot of the student athletes who came before them to really build the tradition that we have, The history that we have at TU is absolutely fantastic, which is the main reason that we were invited into the American Athletic Conference. I don't think we had to go chasing them. They were chasing us. And so that speaks volumes to the institution. And I just love this quote. It's one of my favorites. I quote it all the time. I'll say it to the student athletes when I get in front of them in the fall, when I introduce myself to all of them. But I really, really appreciate what they've done. I appreciate the supporters that we have in the room, and I hope we're recruiting more. We're going to, in the future, we're hiring a marketing director to help us with some things as far as attendance, with promotion, so we can get out there and tell our story even better. But again, I am very, very pleased and glad to be here, honored to be an honorary Rotarian. And here's a shameless plug before I go. For TU season tickets, call 918-631-GO-TU. And obviously, that's how you get to come out and support us. And we have group tickets, special prices, and all kinds of things that you can find out by just giving us a call. And with that, I'll open it up for maybe a few questions. Baseball, I get that question everywhere I'm going. 216 meetings I get. I don't know why no baseball, because obviously I wasn't here when the decision occurred, but the way I'll address it is we're going to have a strategic planning process over the next few months, and we're going to look at baseball while we're working through that. Obviously, great baseball in this region. I was at the University of Arkansas for several years and oversaw the baseball program. I know about how important it is in this part of the country. And you don't, when decisions are made, they're made based on the information that's available at the time. So going forward, I just want to make sure that we are open-minded and look at everything around the program. We do have 18 sport programs, which is a lot of sport programs. You only need 16 in Division I. We had 21 at Eastern Michigan University. And I know the baseball program was very successful here. So that's something that we'll continue to study going forward. Any other questions? He asked about the geographical size of the conference affecting the department, and it will affect it somewhat. Another thing about our budget is that we'll probably come in as one of the lower budgets in the conference. You look at, let's just take Temple University, for instance. Temple, you don't think of them as a huge juggernaut in the athletic world, but their budget is about $15 or $16 million more than ours is to start with. And so when you start talking about geography, there are a lot of teams going forward in the conference. I think 7 of the programs are consistent, but now we're going to start traveling to the East Coast, obviously with UConn. We have to go to Cincinnati. So a lot of those times, that's increased travel expenses a lot of times because obviously you can't bus to those places. So it will have an impact on the budget. Sir?
Here's a question you hadn't had before. How about
Wrestling.
wrestling?
I don't know if we're going to study wrestling going forward, but no, I love wrestling. We had wrestling at Eastern Michigan University and did very well there, and I love the wrestling coach there. But right now, it's not on the horizon, I don't think. The annual budget at TU right now is about $28, $29 million, which is a good budget. At Eastern Michigan University, we had 21 sports, and our budget was only about $20 million. And going forward in the new conference, there will be additional revenues through television and some of those other things, so that will help increase our budget. But as you know, institutions, sometimes you have to keep up with the Joneses, and just because we'll get a little bit better with our budget doesn't mean that the other institutions are going to stay stagnant. So we have to look at those types of things. The attendance for football, my comment is, it is a great product. I agree with you. A program that's won 10 or more games in the last 6 years. I know it's a difficult market, and I say that because at Eastern Michigan University, we were only 8 miles away from the University of Michigan, which is the most winningest program in American college football history, and I worked there. And so when I worked there, we didn't pay Eastern Michigan a lot of attention, and so my job coming in was to try to help us be more relevant in the market, and that's what we're going to try to do here because it's a great product. And as you saw on the slides, not only a great product, but great kids. I mean, let's just face it, what they're bringing to the table is just outstanding from A to Z. So I think with the new marketing director being able to put 100% time into it, because we haven't had a director of marketing in the last 5 or 6 years either. So some of those things hopefully will help. I think the $28 million does include tuition. I could be wrong about that, so don't fully quote me on that. But I think that's correct. And we have to, and the university's done a good job of raising money to endow scholarships for the student athletes, and that's something we'll have to continue to do as we go forward. That would be good. Along with that, we want to schedule more marquee institutions to come into our venue, which, and a lot of times because we're very good, a lot of those teams don't want to come in here. People are already asking me about Arkansas because I have an Arkansas affiliation. Obviously, we'll work hard on that. There are some schools. I'm having lunch on Monday with an athletic director here who's actually coming here into town to talk about home and home football games going forward, and I won't name the school, but I think people will be very, very excited about it if we can get those things done. I would love to play Vanderbilt, love to beat the alma mater, for sure. One in the back. Greatest challenge as new athletic director at TU is, I think, maintaining the quality program that we've had as we move forward into the new conference. I certainly don't want to be the guy where everything starts to slide. But we're going to involve a lot of people with that, again, with strategic planning. Everything's not about money, but sometimes you do have to look at the money, make sure that we have the resources that we need as an athletic department. The coaches have the things that they need, and the student athletes to go out and be successful on the fields and courts of play. I think that will be the biggest challenge. Couple more? All right. Well, I must have done a good job of answering your questions. And again, I appreciate it. And please come out and support these student athletes. I think you will really enjoy what you see. And go TU, and I hope to see you all at my house right after this is done.
Derrick, thank you for speaking to our club today. And as a TU alum, I'm excited to have you as our new athletic director, and as Rotarian, we are excited to have you as a new honorary member of our club. A book in your honor will be presented to our partner in education, Celia Clinton Elementary, and it's the Say Hey Kid. You never heard of Willie Mays? Next week, last meeting, Steak Day. The following week, no meeting for 4th of July, July 3rd, no meeting. The following week will be July the 10th, will be the first meeting for our new 100th president, Karen Keith. Have a great week. We are adjourned.